better, but it's so humid today. It just was not playing ball.
It's popping. That's the problem. Humidity actually makes your hair look freaking marvelous. So
this is ocean hair.
Yeah, you do have ocean hair, Carrie.
We like that.
There's
Yeah.
no.
like
Do you
that.
have maybe like a brush?
There's no shot.
Siciliano.
I don't have a brush here. Like Italians don't own brushes apparently. This is what you're
They
getting
just have
from me
such
today.
perfect shampoo and perfect conditioner. They just keep running their fingers through their hair, and then it's perfect.
Such wonderful quaff.
I literally, I don't even have whiskey on me. We have a nice bottle of wine. I was thinking
Yeah,
about
drink
me.
some wine. Yeah, drink
Grab
some
a
wine.
grappa.
Can I do that?
You ever
Also,
heard of
grappa?
you ever heard of the vending machine?
Well, she's in Italia, so she's like, it's hard for her to get whiskey there.
I'm so
Scott,
happy
you're drinking
to hear.
Elijah Craig.
I am. I'm busting out. You know what?
Oh,
You
yeah.
got me this bottle, and I've lasted like 2 years with it. So
Wow,
props
wow.
to you, my friend.
Cheers. I'm drinking our Augusta barrel pick out of my. Look at Carrie.
Oh,
Carrie and I got these
I
when we
just
visited
ran out.
Augusta.
I just ran.
So I
out.
have the little Glencairn here.
It's so red.
That's
I love
good.
it.
That's a nice
is good.
Glencairn. I like that one.
I know. I think
That's
you got one
good.
too. They gifted them to us when we were there.
Are we
Really?
live so like people can see us and stuff? I see the little thing. All right.
You're
What's
live. This is always
Yeah.
the fun like awkward time where it's just like we're letting the people trickle in,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
we're catching up, BSing,
I like the awkward time.
spirited, you know.
I just heard a
Don't
can
rush
open.
into it.
Was that a seltzer or was that a bread soda?
So listen, it's a little embarrassing. Okay. We don't like to do this publicly, but it's a Corona Zero.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Look, it's not a White Claw. That's
He
fine.
had a serious face.
Listen,
Well,
when you do as many
I-
radio shows as I do, you still got to get some fucking work done.
no, but Scott, I'm actually curious about this because you said it's like at least it's not a White Claw. Like I'm genuinely super curious about this in the alcohol, no alcohol kind of debate of. I have never understood personally because I'm not a big beer drinker, and I want to preface with that. I have never understood the appeal of zero alcohol beer. Now, for White Claw, at least, I'm like, listen, you might not like it, but I understand what it's doing for you. For zero
it'll get
alcohol
you
beer,
drunk. Yeah.
right? It'll get you drunk, exactly. Even if you don't. But for zero alcohol beer, I'm always like, again, I don't like beer, so that's probably it. Is like if you love the flavor of beer, you like enjoy the cold water, like whatever it is, like. I get it. It's like the sensation. And the other part of that is I have never had a single good non-alcoholic whiskey in my life. Like they all try and sell them.
Oh,
And so when
God,
I
no.
try those, I'm like, this is horrendous. Why would anyone drink non-alcoholic? Insert other things
Yeah.
here. But
No,
I'm sure
toast.
there is something because people do
So,
drink them.
Beer is the only one that's figured it out, I think.
Yeah,
Beer is the
you
only
have
one
delicious
that
non-alcohol. There's plenty of really
Yeah.
good. They taste just like a great IPA. Or that Corona. I've had that Corona. Like that's good. I mean, it tastes like a Corona Light. It's like a lightly watered down Corona Light.
My only qualms is that it's got
I didn't know
60
you could get
calories.
more watered down than a Corona Light.
Listen, that's what Bud Light is. I feel like I'm teasing now. And just
That's my
double smack.
kind of beer.
We have the
Finian,
technology.
show us your face. Come on now. Unless there's kids on there.
yeah, there is
Yeah,
kids right now. Give me 2 minutes, there'll be no
This
kids.
is just
You're
how dark Australia
Killing
is.
my
do-
speed,
It's the
brother.
Richter.
My God.
I know, I'm sorry, I'm ruining it.
No, that's
Okay,
fair.
We have
1 second.
how do I here I was like how do I stream this to my audience, but I know the
Now, hold
answer to
on.
that.
I gotta have some defense of beer. Now, I grew up in a part of the world where beer was very synonymous. Like,
Same.
lot of garbage, pretty awful. I loved it, and I still love it. I drink it warm. I love beer. I love it so much. And most of my friends have become alcoholics. Young age, a lot of guys taken down. So there's just a lot of near beers floating around the scene in my world,
beer.
and I'm just like, whatever.
Well, a lot of it has to do with smell, right? I've read this, right? So it obviously taste has a big part of it, but so much of as we know this, like so much of your taste is built within your nose and how things smell. And then smell really equates to memory and experience. And so there's that, like, I've done a job. I mowed the lawn. I did this thing. I cut this tree down. I did this chore in the yard. It's hot. We're gonna grill some dinner. Let me crack a beer, right? To that point. And there's like that visceral cracking and the drink and that smell. That is what gets a lot of the people. So that's why I think non-alcoholic beers do so well, because it's actually that smell taste combo to that the memory aspect that gets you.
Imagine
I'm speaking
I'm
from
on my
experience
John
and some
Deere.
friends. Yeah.
I'm on my John
Yeah.
Deere and I'm mowing the lawn, and I do
Yeah.
this. And I got a whiskey in my hand. Imagine you hit a bump that goes down the wrong pipe. That's gonna burn. I'll try it. I will try
listen,
it.
No, I have
I'll
tried.
be proved wrong.
Listen, I'm a big a summer whiskey fan. So like I like Finn and I have talked about this. Like I talk about beach whiskey a lot because we're by
You're
the
an
lake, so I go to the
all-season
beach a
whiskey
lot.
fan.
You listen, you're right.
Oh shit!
But in the summertime,
Summer?
I like
Just
the
summer?
I like to put like a casual whiskey and ice and treat it like an iced tea. You know what I mean? And I've done this on the mower. It's too
That's
hard. You're
nice.
right. It's not a beer's better on the mower, especially on the John Deere.
It's a branding opportunity. You know,
They also, I think, for the beer thing, that like scientifically, it's easier for them to maintain the flavor and remove the alcohol on beer than it is for any spirits. So it means that you're getting all the stuff that Rich is talking about, like the mouthfeel and the smell and association, the hops and all that sort of stuff is actually easier to keep in there. And I think it's definitely mostly ritual, though, regardless of what they say. It is definitely a ritual. It's cold, it's refreshing,
that's-
you crack it.
That's
It's
actually
just- the reality is
really
most
good call.
and like the second one is I actually think the major brands like Peroni and Heineken do better because they're at such a scale at like consistency of their non-alcohol
Absolutely.
offering. But the other
Yeah.
ones, like, you be honest, like by number 2, it leaves a bit of a taste in the back of your mouth. Like it's not, you know, they're really nice for the ritual 1 or 2, and then by 2, I'm kind of like, so they're what they call the best. My favorite new term in the alcohol industry is zebra striping, where a lot of like people are doing like one boozy, one non-boozy, one boozy, one. So they're getting like an actual taste of a real beer, and then they're breaking it up instead of having 4 full beers in an hour or whatever. They're having 2 full beers and 2 non-alcs, which is clever. It's a way to like make your night longer.
Yeah, totally. I like that. I hadn't heard of that as zebra striping. I'm totally saying that. Is that Aussie? Is that like
I'm
an
sure
Aussie
there's
term?
other local colloquialisms.
Yeah.
No, I think it came out of the UK. I'm not sure though. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's a
cool.
Good.
I'd
like,
say it's good for the
marketing
pocketbook, but
right.
these non-alcoholic
The cost
ones
is the same.
expensive.
Yeah.
Wait,
that's-
that was the crazy part.
That's my
I remember
issue,
that.
for sure.
1 second,
Yeah.
Finn. That was the crazy part. Was I learned the economics of this because I met the Koch Industries, like the Koch brothers, like with all the oil and gas. One of their subsidiary portfolio companies extracts alcohol. Like their company, what they do is, so when they make non-alcoholic beer, they don't just make like the flavors and just soak it. They actually make the beer, and then they strip the alcohol away, and then they sell the alcohol to industrial alcohol to pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah, that's right.
So they actually make more money per se, like per beer, like per can, liter, whatever it is, on the non-alcoholic beer than they do on the alcoholic beer, because they're selling both components independently.
They're like double dipping from the same batch,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't like it. I don't like it one bit.
Well,
Well, I'm a huge
one-
fan of not letting things go to waste. So I love that. You know.
one thing I can be sure of is no one is ever going to be, making fraudulent bottles of non-alcoholic whiskey to send to us.
That's for
If that day happens, then I don't know.
Yeah.
The world has gone to a dark place.
Good God, we've made it. Well, speaking of pharmaceuticals and such, we should get into our topic, fraud.
Fraud.
What a segue. What a segue.
Get it. The non-alcoholic got to my
That
head.
was
now.
so Canadian.
You should have been on for last episode. That was super Canadian.
I watched, actually. No, that was great. The comments of the last episode were so good. Hilarious. Like, just, that was funny. Our guest was very divisive. People really liked him. And
You gotta love that.
You can't go wrong with orange. You can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Was this orange? I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro was just ripping darts.
Dude, just the whole time.
Walking the streets of Canada.
Wandering the streets, pounding. I don't even know what the
Going
drinks
bar
were. I
hopping.
couldn't see
He
the
went
drinks.
bar hopping. He literally
He was
went bar
bar
hopping
hopping.
with us. He was like, this bar,
ripping
yeah.
darts.
I mean, that's a good radio show.
No, I didn't know that he was in Toronto, and then I was seeing the background, and I was like, "That's the TCC." I was like, "I've walked down that street. That's where I'm from. What the fuck? Like, what is going on right now?"
You know what? I
Oh,
think it's
man.
a concept, though. We have the happy hour where it's actually just someone is out at the bar. I'm sure it'd be painful for everyone audio-wise to listen into, but
Yeah.
live vicariously through BAXUS.
I kind of like the background cityscape. You know, we were talking about we got to have some background noise for the calls, just something playing. You know,
Just like some, just Carrie's
Like the
apartment
slash
window
stand.
open.
yeah. Little
Yeah, I would walk around the Sicilian landscape right now in the pitch black dark. It'd be great.
That's amazing. Well, I guess 10-minute mark is the perfect time for the intro. So the folks that are watching this have any idea what's going on. And this happens to be the first BAXUS Spirited, as we're calling it. A little fireside we're going to do every 2 weeks. Whoever from the team can call in. You know, we can BS about industry, about each other, about the market, all that kind of good stuff. And this week we have a lovely topic to talk about. And that is, as I mentioned, fraud in the industry and fraud in ways that we kind of perceive it. So, gang, who wants to kind of lead off with a little intro, where it's touched us most recently in the past and all that good stuff?
I'll start. I'll jump in.
Tier which?
Yeah. Well, first I'd like to say that, you know, we see thousands and thousands of bottles a year that come through, and the overwhelming majority are perfect and authenticate, no issues, right? So it is a incredibly slim margin for what we see. Now in the secondary market and things like this, in your Facebook sellers and things, you have to be far more careful. I think when folks are sending things to professionals, at least I hope they expect us to do a good job. But I've seen in the last year now, we're not even through it all, and we've had more instances this year than we did in the total last year. And I just thought that was an interesting thing to highlight, that it's kind of up a little bit, and I wonder if what's the precipice for them, what's causing this, if anything, or we've just broadened our audience to include more nefarious folks, but it's not always right. It's interesting where they come from. An example is we recently received a bottle. A collector had purchased this online, and they were very excited and had it shipped directly to us. So he never even touched the bottle. And when it arrived to us, it was questionable tax stamp information. And we did a lot of images, we did a lot of back and forth, and then we deemed, big shout out to Owen, our spirits and whiskey encyclopedian, and soon to be our professional spirits historian. He's just diving so deep. Huge shout out to him and to Maurice, our vault manager, who scans the bottles. They went back and forth a lot, and then came to the determination, hey, you know what, from all the images and the information we can see, that color actually of the top and the position of the tax stamp doesn't seem right. So when we looked at it closer, it was like, compared to everything else that we've seen, we're gonna have to say that this is far too questionable. And the guy was really upset. Obviously he wasn't mad with us, he thanked us a ton. He's like, oh my God, that's amazing, but I spent X dollars to get that and ship it to you guys, and now Lord knows what's in it, right? Because obviously the entire top is the wrong color that we can tell and things like this. So it's obviously been a refill, very well done, unbelievably well done counterfeit at that point. And so our collector was really sad. He was incredibly grateful that we caught it, but this is just one example recently of some that we've seen. And it's been on the rise. Now, it's always not so aggressive like that, right? Sometimes I feel like it's people, there's the accidental, like, oops, I sent you an open bottle, I'm always like, was that really an oops? Or are you just making sure that we caught that, that sort of thing? Yeah.
What's the process for that guy? Like, was he on Facebook? Was he in another marketplace? Is he going to get his money back? Is he hooped?
Yeah, he's hooped. He was on Facebook. It was through what he thought was reputable, secondary seller, and sent it. He had purchased through them.
Well, Rich, I was just going to say, I think that's so important, is that, to your point, we don't know where in this chain the nefarious actor is, because the guy who was selling it to him, think about it, like these Facebook groups, when you do post, depends on the group, each one has their own rules, but they do work on somewhat of an honor system. You are hoping and relying on the social vouching and all that. And people post the photos of the actual bottles that they're selling. And so that means that no one else within that group flagged it and called it out and said, hey, there's something wrong with this tax strip that's like that. So this is like the important part over here, is that like these forget the pure just legality side, but like the gray market groups where these things go through, you assume good intentions, and the people who are trading in there might actually be good intentioned. And that's like a really important thing to like emphasize, because there are so many eyeballs that are on it that like it's actually, that you don't know how exactly where the fraud is going to come from, because again, you're really relying on your social credit. And so the issue is that it's nobody's job to like specifically look at everything, make sure that it's okay, or to make sure that if you post a bottle of, let's say you are actually working maliciously, like you actually are the counterfeiter or the fraudster, well then, if you're faking tax strips, for old bottles, you're just going to post photos of the real ones and ship one that looks, just like the one that you posted, but the tax strip is off, and the person you're selling it to most likely won't know if they're not, and they don't have an expertise in, which color and which direction the eagle is facing on the tax strip implies which era of American tax strips it is.
Exactly. And actually, T, that's an incredibly good point. I love that you brought up. That's where we're going with this is when we contact the guy, he goes, oh, here's the images, shows it matches. It's the exact. So the person who sold it to him 100% thought they actually had the real bottle. They weren't trying to fool the fella. They also had received it and taken a picture and then just very quickly flipped it. So it was sort of like by the time it landed to us, it had just recently gone through 3 transactions basically. And so at some point along that chain, obviously, someone at the beginning of the chain created a really good fake. No one knew. The ignorance, right? And I don't mean this in an insult. I mean this in the part. Like they just had no idea. They didn't know any better. That was the fake. So literally, the images that they're sending each other are that exact bottle, and everyone's like, "Yep, that's the one. That's great, awesome." It made it all the way to us, and then that's when I was like, "Actually, no, this isn't." And to your point, so it's like multiple people on that chain technically bought a fake bottle, went through the fraud. They were all frauded in that process and just didn't know it.
Yeah, I almost need a confessions series. Bring them on for a little confessions.
Oh, well, I mean, it goes. Yes. Sorry. I just wanted to comment one more point on Rich's thing is that to Rich's point over there is that he's right again, because now theoretically, like every person in that chain who's involved, forget the fact that none of them could legally, sell directly, like, over a Facebook group or all this. They also sold like a counterfeit. They also sold something that was fake, whether they knew it or not. Now, again, so many of these bottles for the talented counterfeiters, they know exactly how to get them into the market. Like, one of the biggest things that used to be alpha for whiskey hunting was like estate sales, right? You'd go into these estate sales because these guys would be pulling bottles out of their basement. It'd be a bottle of old granddad from the 1960s. It would still have the $5.99 little paper, what's it called? Price tag on it. And so everyone's like, this is old bourbon sitting in my basement. They think it's like wine. They're like, it probably went bad. I don't know how much it's worth. And so the guys who were sharks, like the guys who knew where their trade was and how much these bottles were worth, would swarm in, would, buy up all the bottles at the estate sales. Once that became, because the number one thing you have when it comes to any sort of deal, whether it's whiskey trading or any sort of high-end collectible or anything, is if the price seems too good to be true, it probably is. Like if you see a Rolex posted on Facebook for $2,500 and you're like, that's a $10,000 watch, like that's either stolen or fake. Like, like that's, that they're not just like, oh yeah, they really like me and they're giving it to me for that much money off. So what you need to do is to make it seem like, where can I sell these off where at the price point it won't get enough scrutiny because somebody's like sitting there inspecting it like, oh, this is $10,000. But it also won't seem strange that this thing that clearly should be worth more is sitting here at a low price. And the answer for that, again, is things like these estate sales. So what you'll end up having is that these scammers and the counterfeiters will basically start to plant their own stuff into these types of like garage sale estate sales. So it looks like you're finding absolute steals. Like, oh my God, look, I found these old Wild Turkey decanters from the 80s. They're in great condition. They have their tax strips and everything. These again, and so you don't think it's weird that you're only paying $50 for something that's worth hundreds or thousands of dollars, but really that's a way for the counterfeiters to now continue to disseminate basically the fakes into the market, because you're not questioning why the price is so low and you're also not inspecting it. So it's just a really like the way in which they operate. And again, it only really works at this scale because there is so much of this gray market in the peer-to-peer, because people don't, and because these things are so old that you don't even know what to look for unless you're an expert, unless you actually have studied again the nuances of the tax strip. You're out of your element.
Yeah.
Wait, you tell me that they sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
People embed via estate sales, like that's like a known
Yeah.
I don't know,
I mean,
fraudulent.
I don't.
inroads.
I'll put it like this:
Doesn't
I don't know
make
if it's
sense.
known. I don't know if it's known, but I
Brilliant.
know that I know that it happens.
Oh, yeah.
I've done a lot of back end work on this.
In the before times, before COVID, that's where I did a lot of my like hunting. Like it used to be far more in the before times, before COVID. It was like before a lot of hunters got into and started learning what T is saying. That was a good place to go. And like I live in like old farm country Michigan, so there's like always estate sales, right? Grandmas and grandpas and things like that. So it was a pretty easy spot to go and get. And there was a very noticeable transition, you could tell. And it was actually before COVID even. It was kind of like 2018, 2019. People started getting wise. These estate sale folks got wise, and they would know. They'd go in ahead of time. They'd pick out the best ones. And there are more than half of the time I could think of in like 2020, very early, COVID times, when I would go into estate sales and it would either be wildly priced because they figured it out and they were trying to take advantage of the market, or it was wildly questionable. So I think there is, obviously there's a ton of great estate sales out there. We're not shaming estate sales, but to T's point, it is a good place to sneak things in.
I think the thing that's
Sorry, guys.
interesting too
Yeah.
is, the before frauds and, refills or whatever were always the most obvious brands, right? Like people would be like, oh, I'll do Macallan or
Macallan, number one,
whatever. One of the like really well-known puppies, obviously, those sorts of like major, also quite well distributed, lots of liquid out there in the market.
And that's not like pro grade. Those are real,
Totally.
fakes. Those are people who are doing incredible work, actually.
Yeah, totally. I think now what you're seeing is whoever these people are, they're focusing more on like the obscure ones that are harder to pin directly. Like you need more Owens to be able to figure out exactly which of these are truly fake, because the sample size of others you can go and look at is way smaller. Like if you do a Macallan Fine and Rare, you've got thousands of other images to go compare against, and like the models that we build so that we can go do that. But if it's it's happening in Irish whiskey now, like these super old Jameson, over 100-year-old bottles, and it's like, well, people don't have enough of them to know for sure whether they are or are not.
Yeah,
so that's
and there's
why
no photo
if you go on
evidence. We don't
eBay,
have any.
No photo evidence. Yeah. That's why if you go on
The
eBay,
before
and you're like,
times.
why are these empty bottles? Yeah, exactly. Why are these empty bottles selling for $50? And it's like, oh, because someone's going to refill them. That's usually how it starts.
Yeah. That's a good point too, is like Scott, we do KBF every year. How many times when at KBF, Mike, one of the things that we do, and you're coming this, it's going to be a great time, is we do, a tasting, and we, at the end, usually by the end, by mid Saturday, late Saturday, early Sunday, we're finishing off bottles through the tasting. People have come and we they have to do some fun event, and then they get a taste of, and we bring a lot of antique bottles because we really want to like open folks' eyes to Dusties at the event. And every year there's always people who ask, hey, come back as we're pouring the last ones, can I buy that empty, can I buy that? And there's always at least one or two who are wildly aggressive about buying it and offering us dumb money. And then every time I know that's the guy you're worried about. He's not the guy trying to put it on his bar. That guy who's being aggressive and offering us stupid money for that bottle, that he really wants this 1987 Wild Turkey Rye bottle. He really, really wants it. He's offering $100 for the empty bottle. That guy's trying to sell that bottle.
Yep.
Right.
Look at eBay. Look at eBay right now. If you go onto eBay, you will find empty bottles being sold at like stupid prices. And to that point, it's the Pappies, it's the thing, it's Weller, it's Blanton's bottles. It's like, to your point, it's old decanters, and it's the wine bottles. Like this was the whole thing about Sour Grapes, which was this incredible movie on wine fraud, like fraud in the wine industry. At the end of the night, like Rudy, who was this master wine forger, and again, his whole thing was even more impressive because he actually wasn't forging the bottle at all. Like we're saying, he was using real bottles. He was forging the wine, but he was doing it for drinkers, for people who actually open the bottles. This is perfect. Exactly.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
No one who is buying this stuff is up to any good. You're not buying this because you want to put it out on your shelf to display it. Like this is going to people who are then refilling it. Not all of these bottles, especially the older ones, had things like serial numbers on them. Most of the new bottles still don't. The brands are really, really bad about preventing like counterfeiting.
Very specifically, this guy selling this one with the image is the top. he's advertising how good the top of that is of that empty bottle. Like that right there is telling like he knows the market that he's selling to. You know,
You don't trust Nat and Bran?
listen, I'm not saying
Got a great
names.
rating.
It's very suspicious. He's got great rating.
His customers are really happy.
Refill, you know?
But this is the thing. It's like there are people who we appreciate that exist within the whiskey community and we've done the back end on it also for the scraping, but like they literally like they take down all of these images, they go to eBay, they constantly look so that they can mark the in the sports world, it's what they'll call photo matching. Like when they're trying to prove that a jersey or a pair of sneakers was like worn by a player during a game, they try and match like a torn thread or like something over there. They'll do the exact same thing with these bottles. They go and they find or they try and find some unique identifying feature on a bottle in the photo so that if another bottle that's similar ends up being listed in one of these groups, they have the ability to be like, hey, where'd you get this, and go down the chain. Because to your point, sometimes it's the counterfeiter, but more often than not, it's the sucker 2 or 3 guys down the line who got taken by the, someone who bought it from someone who bought it from the counterfeiter. That's the person who ends up listing it because again, the counterfeiters have realized that like, if you're posting a bunch of bottles and they're all fake, we're going to figure out exactly where the source is. So they've gotten smarter. And Mike, this was our point earlier, is that like, it's unfortunate, but they figured out how the system and how the market works, and they take advantage of the fact that it all runs through this gray market. That when you're not using BAXUS, you're not getting 360-degree scans and the ability to literally match 1-to-1. That is a big part of what it's kind of like a byproduct of what we're doing, but it combats that. It helps prevent that, like the actual scanning, the human authentication, all of this layer of attention to prevent people from A, selling fakes, and then B, from those fakes even re-entering the market.
Mm-hmm. Is that like automatable?
I mean, it's a question of computer. Yeah, there will always be a human element, because, by the way, part of it, and I know this is weird to say, and yes, you can always say part of it is just vibes. Like you pick up a bottle and something feels off. Like I know it's like hard to describe. Like when you've touched them, hundreds of thousands of bottles, you kind of like the label feels off.
This doesn't feel shiny enough. This feels rough. I really like. Yeah, exactly. 100%. Yeah.
Like it's the feeling, it's the weight, it's the color, it's like all the pieces like combined together.
It's kind of, it's really all of that at once. And so yes, we have the computer vision and the scans and the AI and everything, but personally, I also, I feel more comfortable knowing that there's also a human who's touching this, who's reviewing this, who's double checking the computer. Now, will it always be that way? There are ways. I mean, we've discussed this a million times. We have literally developed with partners technology in-house that any brand that wanted to use could actually fraud-proof all of their bottles from the point of production. And that is a really important thing, is on a go-forward basis. If brands want to prevent this, especially for the most expensive bottles, like let's go back 1 second. We're talking tax strips. Tax strips is something that we got lucky existed, because some of those bottles, if you look at the seals that are on them, like we're only lucky that the government actually like required them to be on there. Because if you look at some of the nicest tradable bottles right now in the market, right? Let's talk Russell's Reserve, 13 and 15, and the Russell single rick houses, which have SRPs in the 100 to 200 range, but trade for, close to $1,000, $350 to $1,000 a bottle. Those bottles have a shrink wrap seal. Like that's it. Like a piece of perforated shrink wrap, that you like plastic. That is the easiest seal. If you wanted, you could order those in bulk, off of one of these websites and go and empty all those. I'm not telling people to do this. I am not encouraging refilling. I'm not trying, but this is a problem that the brands have to acknowledge, that they have one of the most popular, most sought after bottles in the market. They're not exceedingly expensive, which is to their credit. To Wild Turkey's credit, they have released great bourbon at great prices, and they continue to do so. But their incredibly sought after bottles are being released without the least bit of thought for, this is really easy to open, drink, enjoy, pour full of anything else, even another Russell's product that, a 10-year, whatever it is, which is good whiskey, refill it, reseal it, and sell this back into the market. And unless, again, the advantage of the way that we do our 360 scans is because of the lighting conditions and the sealed chamber and everything, we will notice a difference in the color of the liquid. If you actually try and use a different whiskey and refill that bottle, it will show up differently than all of the other bottles that we have in the data set. But again, the average person doesn't have that, or it's posted on their kitchen counter or outside in their backyard on their porch. The lighting that you're going to get on the Facebook image is just not going to be enough for you to realize that, oh, there's something wrong here.
Interesting.
Brands, please do better.
Brains, please do better.
I do
Oh,
like the
one other-
idea of solving it from like the beginning, as opposed to like it becoming a problem that we need to solve with the fakes.
There is some ways we're doing some stuff right now, like we did with the Oakley bottle, right? Like
Mhm.
the
Iridia.
Iridia. Thank you. I was blanking on it, right? So we do. There's a release of Oakley bottles that have a new age style tack strip that go across it, and on that there is a bit of a material through Iridia. I forget what they refer to. It's like it's genome, right? Like it's genetic material or something like that. Yeah.
It's literally in the DNA.
It's biomolecular technology.
Yeah,
they can
biomolecular,
write
there you go, yeah.
the blockchain
They-
into a molecule, which is insane.
There's
Yeah.
basically
It's a
there's a
molecule,
molecule.
yeah.
There's a molecule in the ink, and in the molecule is a hash basically that when it's unhashed will give you a specific address that you can like use to verify. Like it is a very long,
Super cool.
distant, extended thing. But the more
Nuclear technology.
the most important thing is
Process-
the most important thing is the molecule. The most important part is the molecule. Is that there's a unique identifying molecule that is inside of, in our case, the ink that verifies. So like where you could do a swab test and basically verify whether or not that molecule is present in the ink.
Yep.
How do I Google this for the people?
Oh, we can share something.
Oh,
with you,
there was
Mike.
actually
I
there was a
think
press
also
release. So yeah, there is some info. You can share that.
there is
I
a
didn't
press
get
release,
anywhere.
BAXUS Iridia. But also I think what's interesting about that is they could technically put it in the liquid, but obviously
yeah.
even though it's at a molecule level, it would have absolutely no effect ever on the liquid. People still wouldn't want it in their liquid, obviously. And I can understand that argument too, but it was made for like fingerprinting weaponry, basically. So if anything ever went missing, they could like trace back to where it actually went. But they can do it in anything. They put it in paper. They're doing it for a lot of like, they did it initially for Jimi Hendrix's guitar that sold on secondary. They're doing a lot of like collectibles. You can put it into anything because it's at a molecular level. So but it's
no
fascinating.
effect
And
on
then
it.
you can try, no effect. Yeah.
And they have like
But
they have like a
one
new
of the
handheld
measures
scanner that
of
can
the-
tell now. Like so you don't even need a big machine.
Yeah, they can-
they can tell.
Use your
basically
iPhone,
like-
supposedly. for
Yeah,
the
exactly.
first
It's like a
level.
phone.
That's so fun.
The old school way was we used to call a Nerf, which would go on the top, which you guys have probably seen. It's an NRF. It's a no refill. Those little like plastic things that sit right in the neck of a glass bottle. They still use them in a lot of countries, like developing markets where booze is coming in parallel import, and they're trying to protect like what's real and what's not real and all that sort of stuff. But people don't like them because they don't pour well, because they kind of like spray out. They're not very. The experience of pouring your whiskey is kind of ruined, but they're used. But then you can technically get it out with a spoon, but it damages the glass. So you wouldn't be able to like directly refill one of those. I mean, I'm sure people have managed to do it, but it's much harder and tedious. So
That's something like
the
weird about my
hard-
like whiskey
hard
touching
resolution.
plastic. You know, like my whiskey touched plastic. I don't like that.
I'll take the molecule whiskey.
Yeah, I'd rather have the molecule.
Exactly. Choose your
No, but I was
poison.
going to say you can't add any additives to bourbon. Like you could, like even if you wanted to, so you can't add a molecule to bourbon. Then you're,
So this
you're gonna
is
screw
like
it
a
up.
super. Well,
It's
There's
not
here's the thing,
definitely a
it's a
ruling
super-
on that. Like, what's the particle size of adding? You know,
No, but
still,
but
it's
it's
Is that in the
no,
legislation?
she's
ingredient
right. Like
to Carrie's
okay,
part. Yeah,
so here's the point, Carrie. So you're totally right about this. So then the question becomes like, if we want to go super whatever, like, okay, at what point in the process does that become an additive? In the sense of if we include it in the mash, or if you put it in the yeast, or if you put it in the whatever, like, is that? So no, I agree with you, because it actually is super interesting. Like if the batch is done, it's ready to bottle, and then we just go and I don't know, you like inject a pen's worth of like some water in there that has the molecule in it.
Well,
Okay,
Yeah,
well, I
and how
wonder,
are they
could you put the
distilling their
molecule? Could you
water?
just dissolve it into water? Right? Could you just dissolve it?
yeah,
in water?
exactly.
Doesn't matter.
Like, can't we
Yeah, I
just
don't
do
know,
it
but
there?
the point is that it is possible. Let's say if they were to go to the the TTB in the United States and to the Scotch Whisky Association in the UK, and they said, okay, you can add genetic marker molecules to your stuff. The question then becomes for the brand, like, it's not the cheapest solution in the world, but if you're selling bottles of whiskey for $200,000, and the whole thing that we talk about is like, this whiskey doesn't go bad. It can last for centuries. It's going to be opened by someone in 100 years from now. I'm looking at this like there was a case of. There was a restaurant or hotel in Switzerland, I believe, that had these super rare they thought they had these
They
Macallans
claimed,
from the
yeah,
1800s.
yeah.
Yeah, they thought they had these Macallans from the 1800s, and finally there was some big shot who came in who was like had enough money to buy them, to pay them to open them and order a pour. And I don't know if it was he that got suspicious or somebody. They finally sent them for testing, and it turns out that they were fake. Like the bottles were not real. But the cool part or crazy part about this is there is now an entire Macallan series, like 3 bottles in the series, I think, called the Replica series, which was that until they were tested, Macallan also did not know that they were fake, like until they actually tested the liquid. And so they actually recreated the bottles. Like, I gotta, Mike, we have some of these in the vault. It's really cool, but it's basically there is a real bottle that is a recreation of a bottle that turned out to be fake.
Well, that's what I'm talking about with
That's
the
meta
confessionals,
right there.
man.
That's
This guy gets gypped, right? And he gets a fakie, and we find it. Then he makes an editorial, relists it as a fakie. The news goes viral, and he sells it for more. That's a wonderful story.
If only it was that good.
So what's it going to take? What do you think it's going to take for some of these brands that produce more on the rarer side of spirits to do something to combat this? What's the effect of the fakes that are in the secondary market? Are they even affected by it?
Good question.
Well, I think you have to even consider that they know how to. Sorry, there's a delay. Sorry, T. I think I'll let you go, T. I think the bit that we are always speaking to brands about is they don't know anything really about the secondary. They can't really understand it. They don't know how the market moves. T has a lot of opinions on this about certain brands. We probably won't name them directly too much today, but I think for them to even be able to address it, I don't even think you're gonna have to understand it a little bit to be able to address it properly, right? And if you don't understand it at all, you just you don't know what you don't know, right? I suppose is the point until it becomes a much bigger issue. Like you're a Macallan. I don't even think Pappy care, but the bigger Scotch brands definitely do care. But T, over to you.
No, so I was going to say that there is one brand that there was a very, very, very expensive bottle of theirs, just historically significant bottle that was going up for auction. And the foil had it wasn't in perfect or pristine condition. And so there was actually an agreement that was made between the auction house and the owner and the distillery. And to your point, the distillery went and ordered or found in the archives, the time specific foil seals from when they originally created that bottle. They carefully removed it to actually reseal it. But one of the things that they did before they actually went and resealed it and reissued it was they tested the liquid. They actually tested the liquid to make sure that this bottle was original. And the crazy part is, and the reason I'm not disclosing it is it was never officially disclosed, which I think is nuts, because I'm do you know how much more valuable that bottle would have been at auction if everyone knows that this bottle was literally tested?
We lost him at the best part.
The most point.
Reseal of it from the distillery. Oh man, can you guys hear me?
We got you back.
All right. Sorry about that, guys. But it's just, can you imagine how much more money that bottle would have sold for if it was disclosed that this bottle was, yes, the seal is a new version of the foil, but it's okay. You guys just take it.
As soon as you are getting to the absolute point, you're getting cut off. So at this point, I think it's a conspiracy.
Somebody is trying
they're
to
stopping
keep me
you
from sharing this information with the public. There is a conspiracy by Big Wi-Fi to maintain the counterfeiting in the whiskey industry.
Yeah. You gotta join a VPN before we enter the stream next time.
No, it's
on to our sponsor.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
It's the Canadian government from last week's episode.
Yeah, there's a lot of slandering there.
Oh man! All right, I'm gonna type up what I was gonna say so somebody else can deliver the drama.
It's funny.
You're not actually gonna do that, are you? Come on now. I don't think anybody in here can read.
I mean, I
You're
could
using whisper flow
before I drink all this Augusta.
Yeah, just whisper flow it, and odds are it'll work, and then we can just null and void it.
Where do we go now? What do we talk about now? I
this
think
bottle
I think
would have sold for so
for
much
people
money.
who haven't seen people who haven't seen sour grapes, I think it's important to speak about why the counterfeit issue is so hard to identify at a consumption moment. Is a lot of it is ego and pride, right? Both
Yeah.
from
Oh yeah.
if you bring a nice bottle, you don't want to be the one who admits that you got duped, particularly if you're in an environment you've brought it to, I don't know, some nice setting. But also, like, what he was doing in sour grapes was he was relabeling really good bottles of wine. They weren't like, it wasn't like garbage, like $10 bottles of wine. It was like really good vintage Burgundies and Bordeaux and stuff. But they just were like a $300 bottle and not a whatever $13,000 bottle of wine. So it's hard. That's hard to identify, particularly, you know, you're at a bottle meetup and you're tasting like 15, 20, 40 different things, and you're like, oh yeah, that one is the one that's off. It's like your palate's so cooked to have it'd be really hard. You might know it's not. You might know it could be off in the sense that it's like it's actually a cooked bottle, but you probably wouldn't be able to pick that it's, you know, not a 1973. It's actually a 2008, and it's from, you know, the vineyard across the road. Like that's just it. You unless you're incredibly knowledgeable, and even then, it's like
Even
a
then,
very thin
yeah.
line, and then you have to be the one that calls it out, like a dickhead.
I like, as an aside, I think that's how so many crappy barrel picks end up out there too. Our brands know that this
right.
barrel is not very good, but they wait until they drag you through 20 tastings in that day. Here's the 21st one.
Yeah,
This is
right.
the best one. We brought it out special for you. And you're like, it's the best. I'll take it. You have no idea. Your mouth is nuked.
Yeah,
You know, you've had 20 whiskeys. Yeah.
I love when
That-
they're
I
like, we
swear to
took
God,
10
that happens
barrels
all the
out,
time.
and now you're choosing from the last 3, and you're like, okay, is that a good thing? You know,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
What happened to the other 7? Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
I have a
Absolutely
question.
right.
Is there a name, and there must be a name, for a person who would refill their own bottle with lesser liquid to serve to their guests, pretending that it was good stuff?
A really
So it's
smart
like-
person.
Happens in bars
So-
all the
Intelligent.
time. Happens in
Yeah, bars do all the time. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like that's
bars do it all the time. Bars will buy like
a genius. Genius
plastic
is the right word.
gallons
No,
of gin or rum, and they'll refill whatever their well bottle is. It's a big issue.
Absolutely.
And I think
absolutely.
and it's happening more and more in Australia because the taxes and duties are so high. And I think if a consumer ever saw what a lot of the bars are doing for when you get like something from the well, there would be uproar. There would be like major outcry because it's less protected. It's not as good spirit. It's probably gonna fuck you up more. You're gonna get more drunk. Like it's just, yeah, that's what happens. You overtax the booze. It's like we're going back to prohibition all over again.
Listen, T was talking about that the bottle would have sold for so much more money if they had disclosed that it was tested and certified as resealed, and that chateaus used to do this with the corks and wine. So you mentioned that, and I'm actually going to piggyback off that, T, because that's right, because we have some bottles that have been recertified by the brand that were they're not Bordeaux, they're Madeiras.
Yeah.
And the brand has photos of when they received, the brand kept images of when they received the bottle in, when they tested it, looked through it, checked the wax, checked the seal, recorked it, resealed it by the same family. It's like the grandson of the guy who originally sealed it is the guy who verified it. And then they took pictures of the entire process and then put it out there, and that has helped. So these bottles, we're talking Madeiras from the 1700s, and they've been certified by the brand that originally made the Madeira. That yes, this is real. This is this is the same wax that our family's been using for generations, etc. And it's increased value marketably.
I have another question. If fresh oxygen gets into an older bottle, does that new oxidization process really fundamentally change it? Like a recorking?
Yeah, it's considered open. Now, I'm not saying what they did. I'm sure they have an incredible process for doing this when they do it at the brands, right? Like they know what they're doing because they don't want to ruin these products, right? But your average jabroni, yeah.
Jabroni. I mean, we don't have inert atmospheres in our garages?
Listen,
Well,
I mean,
no,
right
was
over
gonna
here.
say- I was going to say, if you're using a cork, like in the case of, let's say, a Madeira or a wine, you actually could then remove most of the oxygen afterwards. Like you could run like a Corvin, like a needle through it to that point, or like replace it. With a whiskey, because you got that wood going on top, like it's going to be a little oxidized. Now, I think Finn, you look like you were going to comment. Like the tiniest amount of oxygen is in there. It's not going to fundamentally change it per se. If it starts to like seep over time, like, yeah, you're cooked, man.
Yeah.
I think it depends on there's so many variables here, right? Like it depends on like what spirit type or wine type or fortified wine type, like how quickly they can be impacted by air or not. I also
what the
think
air
that
was,
like what the air
like how
was
humid
like,
or-
and
yeah.
totally clean, dirty, where it's been stored. Like there's so many variables, and I think as well, quality of the cork is a whole other thing, which happens to a lot of those older bottles, that the cork wasn't very good. It's more porous, whatever. I think the thing for me, like, and we have to do a larger study on this. I was actually speaking to a guy who had done over a period of 2 years, they had tracked something like 30, 40 bottles. I've asked him for his data because we're all super nerds, but he tracked a bunch of different open bottles of spirits for 2 years and kept record over 2 years of them. And he said there was no market difference on like 99% of the bottles. There was no market difference in ABV. That doesn't mean that oxidation doesn't happen. It just means that like so many variables are at play there, as we just said. Like, is it in a warm cupboard? Is it in sunlight? Is in like, what's the pressure? Are you at an altitude? Also has a different, like, there's just, yeah, if we want to get really nerdy about it. But yes, ultimately, if oxygen gets in, it does impact it. But the variables out the other side of that are just massive, which is why it's so interesting, because
you're reminding me of all the bottles in my basement that I need to drink because they're opened. I just need to drink them.
Yeah,
Gonna say, there's
put them in a smaller
trend.
sample.
Yeah, there's been a big trend in some of the Facebook groups and whiskey groups lately of turning your bottle upside down, wetting your cork, making sure it doesn't dry out, trying to make sure that oxygen doesn't come in, especially the opened ones. That actually is probably a good topic for another day, because I think that there's still a lot of mystery behind like what actually is going to affect that bottle. How long can you have an open bottle? Does it make a difference if the bottle is down to here versus up to here? Like, there's a lot of things that we can kind of talk through, dispel. There's certainly a lot of misinformation out there, and it's not really clear what the right answer is when you're getting into this.
I love it. You know what I love just as much as that is when a dad gets up from the dinner table and informs to everyone that the dinner is over and he's going home, and everybody else is like, God bless that man for calling an end to this.
Are you that man right now, Mike?
Yes, that's dead.
No, that was Scott.
Yeah,
He said it's a topic for another day, and I was like, that was a cue.
It's
I
wrapping
looked
in
at
it.
the time.
there
I
you
was
go.
like, we're
That's
over 45.
in the Midwest,
it's
it's
getting fun.
Well, it was good. Well, yeah, we're done.
Amazing. On that vein, anybody got any final comments they want to give? Any well wishes? Matt King just said the best team in the industry right there. That's nice. Thanks, Matt.
Appreciate that.
Matt,
Yeah, I will say just
Matt
two.
King is the best.
I will just say two super quick things. One of them is that there is a little, if a topic for another time, but between, again, authenticity and condition, because this is something that definitely started to come up at the end about oxidation, where something can be authentic, can be sealed, but you can still see like, okay, the cork is starting to rot away. Oxygen is, the whiskey has started to get cloudy, so oxygen has clearly started to get in, which will have an impact. Like, definitely a topic for another time, because it's a meaty topic. But like, what is the difference between a whiskey that is that its packaging is impaired to the point where this might not be authentic, or its packaging is impaired to the point where the whiskey itself is still fine inside, or rather, it might not be fine inside, but we could say that the whiskey is authentic. It just might have been, it just might have gone bad. It may have turned slightly, which again is harder for spirits than it is for wine, but oxygen been there, direct sunlight, there are certain factors that will do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we tell collectors we get plenty of bottles to that point too that are just cloudy. You can tell it's just it's old enough, and you're like, yeah, the seal's good, but it's an old insert. I won't say names, but there are very particular brands we know that had bad corks for long periods of time. They're like, it's known to turn like that, and it's got that milky whiteness in it, right? So it's noticeable.
Yeah. So that's one thing, and again, definitely an interesting something that we should definitely talk about, because it becomes a question of like sometimes a ripped tack strip. We're talking a lot about tack strip. Doesn't mean that the whiskey's been opened, and you can sometimes even tell. It means that it hasn't necessarily been properly handled. The tack strips were not put on there by the government as like here's a proof that this is completely sealed, original, whatever. So like they're designed that like you pick them up and they kind of crimp and they tear. It's a question of where it's torn. What's going on with the rest? Is it a cork seal? Is it a screw top seal? These are all the other factors that kind of go into it. And then lastly, my last just parting thought, because I was laughing at this at the beginning. So I'm actually drinking, Jim Gaffigan has a bourbon brand, which I think is awesome because as opposed to many of the other celebrity alcohol brands, he is actually a bourbon drinker. Like he actually, and B is actively repping his own brand, like actually going out and talking to people and like doing this, like the bourbon and the whiskey circuit to talk about it versus just like shows up for some pictures behind in front of a step and repeat, like some of the other celebrity brands. The bottle is so effing funny. I cannot even tell. Like this is like the whiskey itself is terrific, but the bottle is just such a reflection of him. I'm like multiple different parts of this. So first of all, it's what we would call cask strength, right? It's 60.5% alcohol. This version I'm drinking.
Show it to the people.
You got to show us.
Father Time is the name of the brand.
Yeah.
So I'm drinking. This one is called the Caboose. Look at that. It's called Empty Nester Strength. Like instead of cask strength or like barrel proof, it's like your kids are out of the house strength. Like this is like what an unbelievably clever just little it's so good. And then here this is like. Oh. The whole concept, like Father Time, I hear it and I think of like, oh, he's talking about the passage of time or this. And where is it?
You're back.
Okay, here we go. Sorry, it's over here on the side, but it's like this precious batch bourbon is named Father Time, not after that bearded fella who is the personification of time, nor the special moments a man spends with his children, but for the occasional brief period of peace and reflection every hardworking father earns. Like it's like, oh, this is dad time. And like, what do you do during dad time? Like you pull out your Father Time bourbon. Like, it's so good. Here, sorry, one last bit, and then I'll let you guys buy your own bottles and like read this because the whiskey itself is also fantastic. But just I met his business partner, Stu. Stu, like full disclosure, sent me this bottle. I'm not shilling it for that reason. I'm shilling it because it has been so long since I am laughing from this label, like the backstory and everything, but raised with love and discipline in heavy oak barrels, undisturbed by children or the stress of parenting.
What a life,
Stu,
undisturbed
Stu,
by the
if you
stress
want to
of
send me
parenting.
a bottle, I will chill it.
Yeah.
100%.
All BAXUS employees.
I'll
need
chill it in
one of those
Australia. Send it to
immediately.
him.
Bad.
Yeah, this is great. No, and yes, thank you, Stu, for sending me the bottle. But like, will be buying these as gifts for friends? Like, this is a perfect kid has a baby, and I'm like, I always try and get them like a bottle of something. Like, I will 100% be buying the Father Times because this is just so funny. And I props to Stu and to Jim for again releasing something that you actually clearly care about and are interested in, but making it so fun. Like this is a real reflection of
Jim.
Not all celebrity whiskeys are bad. So we were saying T? Yeah.
Where's the soundboard?
Oh, look at
that in
T.
your hands?
You have a stemmed Glencairn. I like it. Oh no,
This
it's not
is
a
a,
Glencairn. What is it? It's a bulb.
it's the blender's onion.
Blenders.
Yeah, the onion.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
That's a good one. What other
I love
sound
this
effects
glass.
do you have up on your board there, Mike?
This one's one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, I recognize that.
That's
That's the Hunts giveaway sound now.
So good.
Yeah.
It's classic.
Oh, there's a good
Classic.
boo. You know, I haven't really fully played around with it. There's you got to leave a little surprise out there for the people. You never know what they're gonna get.
I like a good boo.
You just gotta work through the sound. You know, when you're delivering the punchline, you just gotta let the sound be there. Stay focused.
Every stream a new mystery sound. If you
There we
catch the
go.
mystery sound, then we'll send you a Father Time.
Wow,
Don't
that's
quote me on that.
fantastic.
Don't quote me on
Don't
that.
quote me on that.
Yeah.
No promises.
Terms and
No
conditions
promises.
That's fantastic.
Terms and conditions.
Stephen Gaffigan will send you a Father Time. Yeah.
Terms and
Yeah.
conditions. You
Hit him
must
up.
live on Mars to receive this bottle.
Alrighty, gang. Great first spirited fireside. really, that's all from my end. So thanks for coming along to the listeners. Thanks for listening. This is actually a record stream. Look at you guys. Look at us go. Takes a community.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Team. See you next week or whenever it is.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Excellent. Yeah. Good waves. Good goodbyes. Carrie's froze up with a good smirk. We like it.
Oh, that's a classic. Carrie.
T's just working. That's cool.
Sorry, guys. Just responding to user inquiries.
And we're ending the stream.